accept a ceasefire proposal, Israel announces it's striking Hamas targets in eastern Rafah. Colombia cancels its university-wide commencement amid the ongoing protests and will instead hold smaller school-based ceremonies. An American soldier has been arrested in Russia. A country star who suffered a stroke is embracing AI for helping him regain his voice. In sports, playoff action tonight. Knicks host Indiana in Game 1. Mets are in St. Louis. 10-10 wins AccuWeather says you might see a shower pop up early tonight. You might even hear some thunder. Low tonight, 60 degrees. Wednesday's time, 6:41. Time for expanded traffic and transit. From the Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com Traffic Center, here's Greg Rice.
Now, Lori, back to the Upper East Side of Manhattan. You got the Met Gala tonight, so you've got Fifth Avenue, a traffic mess through the area in the 80s and lower and upper 70s to facilitate all of the arrivals. You got the right lane blocked off and a bit of a mess through the area, and also plenty of demonstrators all over the Upper East Side protesting on Park Avenue, Madison Avenue, and a whole lot of the cross streets through the 80s. Think about the 4, 5, and 6 trains. They're not perfect. When are they? But they're going to be a better option for you on the Upper East Side at this hour. Rest of the bridges and tunnels, here's what you need to know. Citybound George, extra 25 on the upper. Lower is better. Southbound Henry Hudson, best ride out of town. Now, the inbound Lincoln still about 15. Outbound Lincoln and Holland are all right. The inbound Holland, an extra 10 minutes from the Skyway. Newark Bay, going to do it a whole lot better. Van Wyck still loaded either way through Atlantic Avenue. That hasn't gotten better. And the Cross Island slows south to Union Turnpike, so you stay with the southbound Clearview instead as far as you can, because that's going to treat you a whole lot better. Cross County westbound right now, looks like you got a crash just before you get to the Bronx River Parkway. That's making a mess not only on the westbound side of the Cross County, but on the northbound Hutch and southbound Hutch too, feeding on to the westbound side of the Cross County. New England Thruway just much better for you in Westchester County. I'm Greg Rice, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
We're following two developing stories tonight. Hamas says it will accept a ceasefire proposal, but first, Donald Trump gets a warning from the judge and then blasts the gag order again at his criminal trial in Manhattan.
Donald Trump again criticized the gag order as he left court, even after getting hit with another $1,000 fine and the threat of jail. He told reporters, "Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll give that sacrifice any day." Trump spent the day in court listening to the testimony of current and former employees of the Trump Organization, explaining how Michael Cohen's invoices were processed and checks were issued for legal expenses. The checks had Trump's signature on them, written in his go-to black Sharpie. Prosecutors say this was the agreed-upon arrangement to cover up the payment Cohen made to porn star Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet in the weeks before the 2016 election. Julia Papa, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Wednesday's time, 6:43 hours after Hamas announced it would accept an Egyptian-Qatari ceasefire proposal. Israel's war cabinet approved a military operation into the southern Gaza city of Rafah and said Israeli forces were striking Hamas targets in that area. The Biden administration opposes an incursion into Rafah. The president spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by phone this morning.
The White House says President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke before Hamas announced it had accepted a ceasefire proposal, so the two leaders couldn't discuss a potential U.S. and Israeli response. National Security spokesman John Kirby wouldn't go into the details of what was currently on the table or whether the administration believes this is the final offer from Hamas.
We still believe that reaching an agreement is the absolute best outcome, not only for the hostages, but for the Palestinian people. And we're not going to stop working to that outcome.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Before announcing it was striking Hamas targets in Rafah, Israel shut down Al Jazeera's offices in East Jerusalem.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing government shutting down the Al Jazeera news network here in Israel, closing its offices, confiscating equipment, and taking it off the airways. Using a new law to justify the closure, Netanyahu accusing the Qatari-owned station of harming Israel's national security. The move to restrict the freedom of the press in a democratic country drawing sharp criticism here in Israel and abroad. A petition against the closure already filed at Israel's Supreme Court. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Hunter College students are protesting the war in Gaza tonight. For more on that, let's go live to 1010 Wins reporter Christy Kalishian.
Way up here to Park Avenue and 83rd Street. They are circling the blocks right now, We lost connection with Larry earlier. We were actually making our way into Central Park. It was very concentrated there. Helicopters flying overhead. I was ready to go live, and it looks like we were we've just been in the thick of it right now. Of course, very close to the Met Gala. And as you can imagine, several streets have been closed around the Met. So it didn't seem like they were able to get anywhere close to it. But I even heard people kind of making some comments like, oh, let's storm the Met Gala. But it doesn't look like it's happening, just going in circles here. And I would say several hundred students are here at this point. Generally, it's been pretty peaceful throughout the night, but I would say things have gotten a little tense from verbal arguments, especially between Orthodox Jewish demonstrators here who are actually siding with Palestinian students and Israeli New Yorkers that were just passing by each other, and I saw some arguments there. So I was asking around, where are we going? And we were walking up here. A lot of people didn't even know. So right now, I think students are making do with the area that they're in right now. They're just circling around buildings. You can probably hear, not sure I have noise canceling headphones, but you can probably hear helicopters flying overhead. So just a lot going on here, and generally pretty safe so far. That's the notice that we have here uptown.
This morning, students at Columbia learned that the school was canceling its university-wide commencement ceremony and will instead hold smaller school-based ceremonies this week and next. The announcement came after weeks of protest on campus. WINS News Time 6:47.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this evening edition of Documenting History. This is an important endeavor. We're recording history for future generations. And yes, people can say, well, the news can be on the internet. People in the future can look back on internet sites. It's true. But there's nothing like catching the actual live broadcasts as the situations unfold. And you're getting the local flavor from the New York metropolitan area, and you're getting some views as we drive and listen to the news. So I'm excited. We have a couple of views on the last video. So when you start off a new channel, you're not going to get a lot of views. There's not a lot of intention on that channel. So for the first week, there were 0 views. Let me let that car go by. And when I saw 4 views on today's morning edition, I was really excited. But there was some developing news, which is why I decided to upload a second evening edition. All right, guys, thank you so much for being the grassroots subscribers and viewers of this channel, as it's really, really new. Just created this channel about a week ago, and the purpose of it is to document history and record history for future generations. Not the most exciting type of YouTube video, I understand, but here we are. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video.